Welcome to the Global Home Inspector School Training Program Overview. This is an informational video on how to train to become a home inspector in the great state of Minnesota. I am Matt Fletcher there on the left. That's me. I'm a former high school construction trades teacher turned home inspector. I've been a home inspector for over 26 years now. And a few years ago, I started my own Home Inspectors Association and training courses. And this is my pitch to get you to train with us instead of our competition. So I hope it works. So since you're already thinking about being a home inspector and you found this video, let's look at some of the benefits of the home inspection industry. So compared to many other trades, there's a low barrier to entry. Okay, so like being an electrician or architect or licensed plumber, you don't have to study and train for years before you can have your own business and start making money. Training and certification for home inspectors in Minnesota. I checked just prior to starting this video, and is my understanding that Minnesota still has no laws for home inspectors, and it's the same way here in Michigan. We don't have any licensing in Michigan. I think there's about 14 states left like that. So I welcome you to check on your own state there in Minnesota. The low cost to get started in the business. So if you've already been in the trades, you probably have a truck and some tools and maybe some ladders and a computer at home to do your books on. So that's probably some of the biggest expenses uh, to becoming a home inspector. So you'll also need a plug tester. You will need some good flashlights, a moisture meter. A thermal imaging camera would come in handy, but you don't have to have one. And a lot of guys buy drones now. So drones have become pretty handy, especially in taller buildings. We've done some commercial buildings that were, I think the tallest one we did was 13 stories, so you have to have a drone for that. And our students complete our course in about 30 days. So each lesson is about roughly an hour, hour and a half to read through. There's pictures and videos to watch and text to read. And then we give you about an hour. Well, we do give you an hour to do the test. So figure on about 2.5 hours per lesson. Earning potential and job security. So as long as people are buying and selling homes, inspectors will have work. On average, people move about every 6.5 years now. I'm surprised it got that low, but you can Google it and find out for yourself. Inspection work cannot be offshored. You got to be here to do home inspections, right? It cannot be replaced with AI, which is huge because a lot of jobs are being replaced with AI right now. And most inspectors reported income, this is a national average of 60 to 100,000. And that's right where I've been for a long time, somewhere in that range. When things are good, you make closer to 100. When things get bad in the real estate industry, you'll go down, of course. So that's just the way it is. That's the way it is with any business. Flexible schedule. This is one of the things that attracted me to becoming a home inspector. So I don't know if I mentioned it or not, but when I was a high school construction teacher and I was doing inspections part-time. I'd do them in the summer because I had the summers off, and I'd do them on the weekends. And then they cut that program for whatever reason. Who knows why, but they cut the program, and that's when I started doing inspections full-time. And I've been doing it full-time for 20 years now and 26 years total. So I will flip a house occasionally, so I like having that flexible schedule. I like going up north, walleye fishing and steelhead fishing here in northern Michigan. So that's one of the big things I liked about it, a flexible schedule. Most home inspectors are self-employed, so they have control over their work hours, number of inspections they do, where and when they take their vacations, and whether they want to do it full or part-time. So as I said, I was a high school construction teacher, and I took a lot of pictures like this when I was teaching. I have a master's degree in teaching, an additional certification to teach construction trades in the state of Michigan. And this is my classroom here. We were outside most of the time. And we built a real house. The school district owned a subdivision, and we built a house. And when it was done, they sold it to the public. And here my students are observing a foundation contractor pouring the footing for our foundations. And in our lessons, not only will you learn how to inspect a house, but you're going to learn about how one is built and what you can't see behind the walls and the floors, the basement floor, for instance. So I use these pictures a lot that I took when I was teaching high school to teach home inspection, and they people seem to like them a lot. They come in, they're very instructive. So here the students are doing the underground plumbing and drainage. Water and drainage issues are huge issues during home inspection, so we spend a lot of time on this. Like I said, you can't see any of this when you're doing a home inspection because this is where the basement floor will be poured. There's the footing, which is always a little bit wider than the foundation walls. This is a poured foundation, not block, so you learn things like that. There's the sump pump over there, drainage. These are empty trenches right now, but drainage pipe will be put in there leading to that sump pump. Drainage is a big deal, so we spend a lot of time on it. Framing flooring. Here we are framing the floor. We used Advantech 3/4 inch tongue and groove plywood, which is a very good product. We used I-joists that year. Those are IJs we call them. So they're screwing and gluing down the flooring system. So you learn about how a flooring system is put together and what to inspect for during your inspections. Uh, we teach why construction practices have changed over the years, why moisture barriers are behind the slab to prevent the rim joist from rotting out. So this is just to orient you. This is the house, one of the houses we built, and the students there are watching our cement contractor, concrete contractor, I should say, um, pour our front porch. So this is a front porch slab concrete. So notice the moisture barrier around the perimeter wall there at the bottom. So they didn't always do that in construction, but we do it now, and here's why in the next slide. So this is a picture I took in a crawl space, but it could be a basement as well. This is the porch slab here, okay? The concrete porch slab. This is what's left of the rim joist in this area, okay? See the holes there? That's probably powder post beetles or some other wood destroying insect. So we see a few defects here. We got a rotted out rim joist. We got a rotten floor here, 3/4 inch tongue and groove flooring that they usually put down back then. That's rotted out. I don't remember exactly, but there was probably a door above here too. So the front door where it comes in, and water gets in that threshold around that door and causes this kind of damage, as well as water running um, from on the slab toward the house if it doesn't have positive grade or pitch away from the house. If that slab is flat or pitches toward the house, this kind of damage is almost certain when you go out to inspect it. So when you get on that front porch, put your level on it and see which way it's pitching before you get in that basement or that crawl space to check for that damage. And you could have that damage even if the slab is pitching away from the house, which is why we have the moisture barriers, right? Here's another situation. Like I said, water's a big deal. We spend a lot of time on water issues in our lessons. If you ever get sued as a home inspector, which is possible, there's an 80% chance it'll be a water related issue. So we spend a lot of time on water. Um, so this is a crawl space house. There's the entryway. And here's a nice downspout right next to the entryway. And you can't tell from this picture, but there's negative grade here. This is like a funnel right here. So whenever it rains, the water comes down out of that downspout and then runs into this basement. I mean, this crawl space. So here's what happens. Here we are in the crawl space, and they did some renovation work on this house, and that's what all this wood debris is. They ripped that floor out. They redid the bathroom, tore the floor out so they could retile it and everything, and they left the debris in the crawl space. So this is a very damp crawl space. You can see the water soaking up into the wood that's laying on the ground. We can see back here how dark the dirt is, that's an indication that it's wet. There's no vapor barrier. We got wires hanging down. We got cable TV wire over here. We got wood debris on the ground, which is rotting and will attract wood destroying insects. So these are all defects for your report. So we show you pictures like this and tell you what should be written up as a defect in the report. And we give you some practice verbiage to read and to write in your lessons. And when you get through our program, you'll be a good inspector. So I'm not the only instructor in this. Your other instructor is Dr. Joe Vaglica, Vaglica, if you want to look him up. He's a PE, which stands for professional engineer. So you got to take a test. So like an accountant, you could have an accounting degree, but you're not a CPA until you take that CPA test, right? So same thing with Joe. He's a PE. He took the PE test and he passed. And Joe also has a PhD in engineering, and he teaches construction courses here in the Detroit area. He has taught at Macomb Community College, which is where I met him, taking some construction courses, and University of Detroit and Wayne State University. So Joe's actually the chair of the construction management program at Wayne State, and he teaches several of the courses there, construction management. Okay. So Joe's not just an academic who's in the classroom pontificating about construction. He is actually out there doing it. He and I do big commercial buildings together. And Joe, this is a subdivision that Joe actually developed. They bought the raw land, him and his partners, and Joe designed the road you see he's standing on. He designed the drainage system under here that you can't see. He subdivided the lots because he also does surveying, and you can see the house is starting to be built there. So he's there doing a check on the builders to see what's going on. So between Joe and I, we have I think over 52 years of experience in construction and inspecting things like that. So you get two high quality instructors, good curriculum, and we include commercial inspection training in our courses. So this is a commercial building we inspected, and we take pictures and the reports from actual inspections, and we turn them into lessons. So not only do you receive home inspection training, you get these lessons on small and medium-sized commercial buildings as well. So we have lessons on commercial buildings themselves, like this one here. This happens to be a restaurant. We have a separate lesson on flat roofs. You can see this building has a flat roof. We'll take a look at that in a second. And then a lesson on parking lots, and then another lesson on ADA compliant bathrooms, which you will often have in these commercial buildings. They have to be ADA stands for Americans with Disabilities Act. So just so you know, we include this in our curriculum at no extra charge. Other organizations charge, I've seen prices from $1,500 to, I believe, $3,000 or $4,000 for commercial training, and they're usually about a 3-day course. I've been to them. I took the Carson Dunlap course like 15 or 20 years ago, and so we include it for free, for no extra charge, I should say. So this is that same building with a flat roof. So typical things, we have a separate lesson on roofs because they're pretty different from pitched roofs. So see these sinkholes there? That's because the roof is leaking and it's starting to rot out the substrate underneath. So whether it's corrugated metal, which you often see on commercial buildings, or plywood, it's either the metal roof is rusting out or the plywood's rotting. So you get these sinkholes as the roof starts to fail. So this building needs a new roof. You can see a big tear right here. The building needs a new roof. So we teach you about things like that, what to put in the report, what to look for. Often on commercial buildings, the mechanical system will be on the roof. So this is a heating and a cooling system here. This is a furnace and an air conditioner all in one box. So you learn about that, how to inspect those. These are two big vents. This is a restaurant, so they have a big venting system in the kitchen. So you learn about that. Parking lots and driveways. So this is a parking lot in a commercial building we did. Uh, so you can see a little cracking here over in the side here where the asphalt's cracked up. Parking lots are supposed to have drainage systems. We have one here. They're supposed to have directional arrows, which way you're supposed to go if it's a complicated parking lot. Uh, Parking stripes where you park between the lines, right? And then parking curbs or bumper curbs, sometimes they call them. These are bollards over here, they're called. That's basically a metal pipe filled with concrete, and then there's the gas meter behind them. Those bollards are to protect the gas meters. So we go into all that with you. And there will be, probably a dozen or 2 dozen pictures in each one of these lessons. Okay, these are just samples, so you know. ADA bathrooms, so 36-inch wide door, which is much wider than what you see in a bathroom in a residential home. Just so you know, a residential home usually has a 36-inch front door, and the bathroom door is usually like 24 inches or so. But you have to have a 36-inch door. You have to have a turning radius of 60 inches for wheelchairs. You got grab bars around the toilets. The sink's got to be a certain height so someone can roll up to it in a wheelchair and wash their hands. So you learn about that. Sewer scopes. So sewer scopes have become a pretty standard part of a home or commercial building inspection. Sewer scopes can easily add, $15,000 to your bottom line, and some guys I'm sure get 20 and maybe even $30,000 from doing sewer scopes. And you can get into a decent sewer scope camera now for less than $1,000. I just bought one for 500. I'm trying it out. My last camera was $3,600. It was a rigid, and they've gone up to 5,000 for that same camera. And I was like, oh my God. And it's broken on me 3 times since I've had it in like about 6 years. And it'll probably cost $1,500 to get it fixed this time. So I bought a Vevor camera, Vevor. So I will teach you about things like that. This Vevor camera I got was $500, and I've used it a few times already. I read the reviews before I bought it. It had pretty good reviews. I ran into a plumber that had one. He said he liked his. Um, so I've got mine now, and I've used it I think 4 times, and I like it pretty good. The only thing I don't like about it is the sound. The sound is horrible, so you can't narrate very well on it like you could on that rigid camera. But the picture is clear. So, and for what it would cost to fix mine, I could buy 3 Vevor cameras, 3 of them. So if I get a year out of this thing, I'll be happy. Um, so we charge this is what they call an add-on in the inspection business. So we charge 150 bucks to scope a camera while we're there doing an inspection, home inspection or building inspection. If it's a standalone, we charge 250, maybe 350 if it's a long drive. I've heard of some guys charging $400 in some cities like Chicago and New York for a sewer scope. But if you, so the cameras pay for themselves pretty quickly, okay? And other organizations charge $500. That's the average for sewer scope training. Ours is included again at no extra charge. So in our lessons, we discuss not only how to do a sewer scope, but how to market the service as well. For instance, when I first got my first camera, I did them for free. I did sewer scopes for free just to let the realtor there, who's watching over your shoulder all the time, just to let them know that I had a sewer camera and I know how to do sewer scopes. And they will actually refer you business just because you have that sewer camera. That's a big marketing plus, okay? They will because the you having that sewer camera makes the realtor's life easier because now they don't have to coordinate with a separate contractor to come over and do that. So just to reiterate, we have home inspection, commercial inspection, and sewer scope inspection all for one price. You got 2 highly qualified instructors. If you can find a better deal than that, I think you should go take it, but I don't think you will. Just being honest. This is a picture. I took this picture with my sewer camera. So this is a sewer pipe. This is a joint in the sewer pipe right here. So back in the olden days, they didn't seal these joints on these pipes. They were usually a tongue and groove system, and they would just click them together, tongue and groove, and then bury them. So over the years, people would plant trees and bushes and things, and this is the roots growing in through that joint, okay, because it's not sealed. So tree roots can sense water, and I've read about it. They can even hear water, I've read. I don't know if that's true, but it said they can hear the water flowing. And they grow towards the water, and then they grow into the sewer line. So this is what happens here. See this little hole poked in the bottom? This is a perfect example. So roots grow into the sewer. It starts backing up. People call a plumber. He comes over and snakes it out. And they usually use the smallest snake head they have. Um, and the reason for that is so they don't get stuck. That's the biggest reason. They don't want to get their sewer snake stuck in there. Okay, it's a big deal if you get one stuck. I've done sewer scopes where I saw the snake line still laying in there where they got stuck and they had to cut it off with bolt cutters and leave it in there. So they can get their cutter caught in these joints, okay? Or if it's cracked and failing, they get it caught. So that's their biggest fear. So they poke a little hole in the bottom to get you flowing again, and then in a year or so, those roots will grow back and close that up again. So they make bigger cutting heads to cut out more roots, but the big fear is getting stuck. You don't want to get stuck in there. So the new thing is jetting sewers with water. It's like if you've ever used a power washer, it's the same thing, but you're power washing this sewer out. And I've done it, and it works very well. So you're going to learn about things like that in our sewer lessons. We have, probably 2 dozen pictures in our sewer lesson. I believe 13 videos of actual sewer scopes that we've done. There's diagrams and then about 8,000 words of text that you got to read and make notes for your test. So you'll be tested on sewer scopes as well. All right, let's take a look at our web page here. So this is our web page, Global Inspection School. Enroll Now button, if you just want to click on the Enroll Now button and put in your credit card information. I believe we'll also take PayPal. Then once you enroll, you get student access, and you go over here and there's a drop-down menu. You can go into My Courses. And once you go into My Courses, you see a menu like this. There's a course introduction. So it tells you what I'm going to tell you right now. Important points are bolded in the text. So if we mention something and it's bolded, or if we repeat it, you better believe you're going to be tested on it. Okay, we're not here to trick you. We're here to teach you. So it's pretty straightforward. And you have to get an 85 to pass. So you should be able to pass. If you read through everything, watch the videos like you're supposed to do, look at the pictures, you should have no problem. See, this person got 100%. They're in alphabetical order. So air conditioning, attic, basements, bedrooms. You can do them in any order you want, but they're in alphabetical order for the most part. The commercial lessons are at the end. So here's a sample of one of the quizzes. So this was a commercial roof inspection. So this happened to be a true and false question. So there's true and false and multiple choice. And then there's a couple other things, something called hot spots. Let's see, I got hot spots here. Here's a hot spot. So you look at the picture, and then these blue dots, there's a drop-down menu in there. So if you don't know what it is, you need to click on it and see what it is. So you should have learned this in the lesson, but this will come just before the quiz as a refresher. That's what I like to use the hotspots for, a refresher just before the test. So this is the pump here coming in. That's the main pump. This is the float. This is a backup pump over here if you've never seen one. This is a water siphon backup pump. That's a Guardian brand. I have the same pump in my house. So anyway, this is the pump. This is the float. This is the pit. This is the backflow preventer. This is the water supply line. This is either the main pump or the electric line. I'm not sure what we're indicating there. So that's what you get in your hot spots, and that's just to remind you of what was in the lesson. So we're both trained teachers, Joe and I. So when you go to teacher school, they tell you, look, you got to give uh, three representations of a concept before the student's going to start to remember it. Okay, so you lecture on it, that's one. You show them pictures of it, that's two. You show them videos of it, that's three. They read the text, that's four. um, and then we make you write an essay question too, using what you just learned. So that's five. We're hitting you five times with these concepts. The minimum's three. So, like I said, we have essay questions at the end. So the first essay question is just a gimme, it's a bonus question. So as long as you give any answer, you get credit for it. So it just asks, what did you think of the lesson? What could we do to improve it? So if you don't have an opinion, just put, I think it's fine the way it is, and you get your credit for it, okay? If you have a suggestion, and we might actually use it, we don't know everything. You might have a vast background in backflow preventers or something and say, hey, that's a good idea. We're going to use that. So then the second question is that's a little bit harder. So it's worth 10 points. This guy got 10 out of 10 because he did what I told him to do. So here's the question. I'll read it to you if you can't see it on the screen. It says, using the information in this lesson, write a few paragraphs on how you would go about inspecting a roof. Explain what types of things you would be looking for. You could also make a checklist as part of your answer. So he put on here, I would turn on any ventilation and venting to the roof. So it's said in the lesson, okay? You're inspecting a house, for instance. If there's bathroom exhaust fans or a furnace that exhausts through the roof, or a laundry room, a dryer that exhausts through the roof, turn all that stuff on and then go on the roof and make sure there's air coming out, okay? Don't don't make two trips. So he's just doing what we told him to do, okay? And then he says I would first take pictures from the roof from many different angles. I would describe in my report what type of roof was used, and the roof was inspected on, he said on foot or with a drone. He meant on the roof. So, like I said, a lot of guys will use drones. So just explain how you would inspect the roof. We'll tell you what to look for. We'll tell you what's required. You just repeat back to us what we told you in that essay question, and you will do fine. Okay? See, I gave him 10 out of 10. I'm not a super hard ass. Okay? You make an honest effort, you'll pass. The road to success is always under construction. In other words, you need to keep adding to your skill set if you want to succeed in construction industry. Um, I took this picture. This was a shed building contest. I was a judge. It was a statewide contest for, they call it mites. So kids come from all over the state and they give them a set of blueprints and some wood and they build a shed. So this team showed up wearing these t-shirts, which I loved. I'm going to get some made. The road to success is always under construction. That is so true. Um, So if you're serious about becoming a home inspector and doing commercial inspections and sewer scopes, you've come to the right place. We've got the best price. We've got the best instructors. You will not regret it. This is our website, globalinspectionschool.com. Go there and check it out. We've got a YouTube channel too. Just you can search on my name, Matt Fletcher, Detroit Home Inspector, or Global Inspection School, or Online Home Inspection Training, one of those, and you'll find our YouTube channel. We've got over 500 videos on that channel now. Almost all are inspection related. There's a couple of me building a kayak and things like that. I'm going to take those off, but uh, it's all construction stuff and building things and making things. Let's do a little review. So you get a complete home inspection course from the foundation to the roof. You get small and medium-sized commercial inspection training, including parking lots, restrooms, and flat roofs, and then the whole building itself, the differences between commercial and residential buildings. You also get sewer scope training, that sewer scope training. I'm telling you, if you become a home inspector, one of the first thing, and you think it's going to work out for you, and you like doing it, one of the first things I would do is get one of those Vevor cameras, VEVOR, 500 bucks, 164 foot, I think it was. They call it 3 meters, so whatever that is. Um, you get two highly qualified instructors. That's Joe and I. We've got the book learning. I've got a master's degree. He's got a PhD, and we've got the field experience. So you get all that for $450. So if you can find a better deal than that, go do it. Be my guest, and then drop me a line because I want to know who has a better deal than we do. I want to know. That's our logo, Global Inspector Certification Association. It's a registered trademark now. There's my number, 313-510-0284. If you have a question, call me. If you don't want to talk to me, text me. Be glad to answer your questions. If you don't want to text or call, you can email us. We use Gmail for everything because they allow us to send very big files for our inspection work. So our email address is globalinspectionschool@gmail.com. Globalinspectionschool@gmail.com. Be glad to answer any questions you have. Thank you for watching, and we hope to have you as a student. Have a great day.